Okay, welcome to a class on another one of my favourite topics, A-positives. And I really like this topic because I think you can have a lot of fun with your rhetoric, with your spoken language by using A-positives effectively. Now, I like to think of A-positives as a rhetorical device. Somebody recently told me that they're not rhetorical devices, definitely not. But for me, any way that you use the language skillfully in order to persuade somebody that something is the case, or in order to persuade somebody even in order to make your story more interesting, for example, as a writer, I would say that any device you use, in my opinion, can be considered a rhetorical device. I know that a lot of people think of rhetoric as a Greek word, which it is. And for that reason, I think they believe that epistrophe, anaphora, anadiplosis, if any of you know what these words mean, they are Greek words that describe different types of rhetorical device. And A-positive is, of course, a Latin word. And I suppose that's why some people claim that A-positives are not rhetorical devices. But for me, they are. And that's because anything, even fronting, for me, is a type of rhetorical device. Inversion is a type of rhetorical device. And A-positives, you can have so much fun with A-positives, and writers do. And so, for me, they are certainly a rhetorical device. Okay, so if you want more information about this, please do look at in the ebook that's free as part of this course, because you will find many more exercises on A-positives in the section on nouns, and also in a later section on phrases and clauses. It's on page 88 of my printed version, but in your PDFs it should be the same. So if you want more exercises on A-positives, do try A-positives Revisited. And the earlier chapter, nouns, has a lot of information about defining, non-defining A-positives. So these are great fun, and this is why I enjoy teaching this topic. And being honest, I think that the most fun part of language mastery is using the language in persuasive and skillful ways. And so looking at how we can arrange our phrases, our clauses, our A-positives, our prepositional phrases, looking at all of these different things that we can do is looking at how to improve our language, and it is looking at how to improve our rhetoric. Okay, so I want you to think of A-positives as reduced relative clauses. Now, we haven't done relative clauses yet, but we will do them, and you will see that relative clauses are just like A-positives. They also have this defining and non-defining distinction. And if you want a quick explanation of what a relative clause is, it's a clause that starts with who, which, that, whose, or whom, and it describes a noun. So it's an adjectival clause. But what we're dealing with is A-positives, and A-positives look like this. You've got noun phrase, but they are not two different things. Yeah, if you say John, Harry and Philip are coming to the party, that is not an A-positive. That's a list of 3 different objects. John, Harry, Philip, or whatever I just said. I've forgotten it already. It's 3 different people. But if you say Conan Doyle, the creator of Sherlock Holmes, a well-known 19th century writer, that is 3 noun phrases. Yeah, Conan Doyle, first one, the creator of Sherlock Holmes, second one, and a 19th century writer, third one. They're all referring to the same object. They're all referring to Arthur Conan Doyle. Okay, and because they're all referring to the same object, we call them A-positives. So Conan Doyle and the creator of Sherlock Holmes and the 19th century writer, they're the same noun, they're the same object, even though they're different ways of naming the same noun. So we call them A-positives. Okay, so that in a nutshell is what an A-positive is. But the reason it's the same as a reduced relative clause is because you can say Conan Doyle, who was the creator of Sherlock Holmes, and when you put in who was, you've got a full relative clause. And so this is why they're called reduced relative clauses. We could make it longer and say Conan Doyle, who was the creator of Sherlock Holmes,